Are you curious about what a box of Freddie's flowers looks like? Well, this was my delivery, which I received in the middle of January. Your flowers will arrive in a sturdy box with a photograph showing what your flowers will look like when they've been in water for a few days. You'll also find a list of the stems inside your box. So my box included lilies, Alstromeria, solidago, which you might know as goldenrod, snapdragons or antirrhinums, and the beautiful waxflower, and a couple of stems of eucalyptus. Like all good things, Freddie's flowers come in brown paper packages tied up with string, so I tend to save this string and the brown paper so I can reuse it another time. Inside your box you'll find your flowers have been laid out end to end, so the bushy heads are at either side and they're always protected with a scrunched up piece of tissue paper. This is my eucalyptus here, just a few stems, 3 here, and they've been out of water for a little bit of time, so the ends have dried out, so you need to take a sharp pair of scissors, recut the stems and then put them into a vase of water. And these pink flowers are called waxflower. You might also see them in a pale white variety too. The foliage is lemon scented and is absolutely beautiful. You'll find that the stems of a waxflower are quite woody, and if you're cutting your stems using your normal kitchen scissors, they may not be strong enough. You want to make a nice, crisp, clean cut, either using a pair of floristry scissors or some secateurs. You see me here cutting off the side stems at the bottom of my stem of flowers. You want to get rid of anything that's going to sit in the water, any greenery or side shoots. If you leave them on, they'll start to rot off, and that's what causes that horrible stinky smell at the bottom of your vase. These spike-shaped flowers are snapdragons or antirrhinums, in a lovely pale peachy colour. You notice how the blooms have opened up from the base of the flower head, and as they fade or go over, you can pinch those off, and that will encourage the other buds to open. As I turn my flowers round, you can see how dried out the stems are, and notice that they've been cut straight across for packing. I always advise though to cut the stems at an angle, and this will help the water be taken up. Your flowers will be standing up in tiptoes in your vase, and you notice how fleshy the stem looks now that I've cut off the dried section at the end. Next, I've got some Alstromeria. You might recognise this from supermarket bunches. It's quite a common flower, again on long straight stems with leaves going all the way down the edge, which I need to remove before I put the flowers in my vase. Notice how glossy the leaves are, and the flowers are still in bud, and they'll open up over the course of the next few days. So exactly the same things. Take off any leaves that are going to be inside your vase, as you don't want them to rot and make your water smelly. Recut the stems at an angle and then slide them into your vase for a rest and a drink. Next out of the box is my solidago or goldenrod. As you can see, this is a shockingly bright yellow flower. It's in bud at the moment, and over the next few days those buds will open to reveal tiny little yellow flowers. And you know the drill by now. Take your scissors and recut the stems. This is quite a methodical process. It doesn't take too long, but just make sure you don't skip it. If you do decide to put your flowers straight into water without recutting the stems, they're going to die off very quickly and you'll be disappointed. Last out of my box are these 2 stems of Asiatic Lilies, a lovely bright burnt orange colour. These flowers are in the perfect condition, tight buds, so they haven't got damaged in my box, but over the next few days they're going to open, and as they do the pollen will mature, and I always pinch that out in order that it doesn't stain my clothing or surfaces. And word of warning, if you have cats, lilies aren't the flowers to you because they can be very dangerous to them. So I've let my flowers drink for a couple of hours, and then when I've had time I've actually just taken them out of the vase so that I can arrange them in a more pleasing way. And you see me here measuring up and seeing how much I need to cut off the end of my stems so they sit nicely in the vase, and again taking off a bit more of the greenery if I think that's going to get caught up in the water. When I'm arranging flowers in a vase, I normally start off with something quite bushy to begin with, so this could be a piece of greenery, but for me the bushiest thing in my box of flowers was my solidago, so that's what I add in first. It really starts to fill the vase out and it will give some support to my more delicate stems. I'm going to add my eucalyptus in next, again measuring up against the vase to see whether I need to remove any leaves, recutting the stems again and then adding them in where I see a gap. I've got 3 stems, so I'm going to arrange them, 1 to the front and 1 to each side. I'm adding in the wax flower next. Now this is really tall in relation to the height of my vase, and I reckon from that single stem in my hand, if I cut it carefully, I can get 2 smaller pieces, and that means I can start to spread my flowers out more around the vase. So again, I'm measuring to length, cutting off the side shoots and then placing it in my vase. So going for something at the front that's going to catch my eye and then distributing the other stems evenly through the vase. I'm not going to put too much at the back because my vase is going to end up on a shelf in my front room. I want to make sure I can see all my flowers and haven't got anything hidden around the back where I can't see it. You can see me here taking a moment to hold my Alstromeria up against my vase. I'm just pulling off the side leaves here, measuring to fit, recutting the stems and then placing them inside my vase. I'm going to have 1 to the front and then 1 a little bit further back. My 3 snapdragons have got quite a lot of leaves as well going down the stem, so very carefully I'm rubbing them off with my hand. Just need to make sure you don't actually snap your flower heads when you do this, so practice makes perfect. And I've got 3 of these. I'm going to put 1 at the front and they've got a slight curl at the edge, so just having that looping over the edge of my vase, and then 1 either side, creating a little bit of a triangle effect. If you haven't already taken out a Freddie's Flowers subscription, do check out the discount code in the show notes underneath my video. If you've been keeping track of what was in my box, you'll know I've got 2 lilies left to go. So I'm recutting these and putting them into the vase. They don't look like much at the moment, but over the course of the next few days, they'll start to fill out. And as they do, I will need to just check on the pollen and pinch it out as I go. Now, did you notice that I was taking lots of the side stems off? So these don't need to go to waste. I can go through my rubbishy pile at the end and make myself a tiny little arrangement of flowers to put into a bud vase. When you've salvaged as much as you can, you then need to cut the ends to length and then find yourself a tiny little vase or a jam jar, and you'll have a little secondary arrangement to enjoy next to your big vase of flowers, or perhaps to put on your kitchen windowsill. So here is my finished vase arrangement in my front room, and if you like the look of the orange slice wreath to the left of the picture, I'll leave a link to that in the cards up above the video. A really great DIY that's really quick and easy to do. That's all from me for now, and I'll see you in the next video.